And welcome back to Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net. This is Carol Parisi. Today, our founder, Jack Roser, and myself are speaking with Kevin O'Connell from the Northwest Political Coalition. We were speaking to what you are going to be doing to bring some better government to Illinois, specifically the Northwest suburban area.
Well, you know, we touched on so many issues here before the break. What I'm going to just say is right now we are looking to see what the map is going to look like for congressional level. I think the state map's pretty much going to be in place. I mean, I don't see any kind of fight or any kind of real change that's going to happen there.
The federal map may change.
The federal map may change. I think the state map's going to be pretty much set in place.
Yeah.
And then, you know, steering people to start taking a look at the federal government a little bit more, since we've got 2012 presidential races and, of course, congressional races coming up. I think we're pretty much set in our area, but throughout the state, there's going to be a few maps, a few districts, I should say, that have been drawn recently that you kind of wonder what they came up with, is to get these people engaged. And Jack, you hit it on about just the finances of this state and let alone this country. I had penned a little, I guess you want to say article, and I went into Illinois Review and a few other papers. And I was just upset what had happened when you had income tax that was going to be passed. And I just didn't see a whole lot coming from the Republicans to fight that.
The 66% increase.
66% that was going to be coming up. Now, you know, as I was talking to some of our Republican legislators and so forth, and, you know, they were kind of shrugging or they didn't really think this would go through. I was at a meeting and as the state legislators are like, well, you know, maybe we could, and these are Republican ones, you know, if we agreed to have a tax increase or borrow money, maybe there would be something on what would be cut along the way. And I'm thinking to myself, you're showing your cards. You're horrible at poker because you're already showing your cards of what you want. And they don't need your votes to begin with. There was that lame duck session in which a lot of Democrats had lost some seats. So, you know, they didn't care. So maybe some of them didn't care. Maybe some of them felt that the state needed an tax income increase, but they were going to be leaving anyway. So when I'm hearing the Republicans talk this way, and I think what kind of upset the whole meeting is when a legislator's like, you know, we really can't believe Pat Quinn's going to do this, coming into his first full term as an elected governor.
Yeah.
And you saw a gentleman get up, and he had trouble standing. It was a cane, and you could see him shaking, but you could see how upset he was. Got up, and he goes, "Are you kidding me? Do the Republicans have a plan down there? Because to sit there and say you can't believe this is happening." Pat Quinn campaigned on an income tax increase. Now it's more than he had campaigned on that was passed.
Over-delivered.
He had said he had gotten a mandate after the election that he was going to have this tax increase. And then he's talking about passing it during this lame duck session. And the guy's like, I can't believe you're sitting there. Where have you been for the last couple of months during this campaign
I call him
office?
Government Moonbeam.
Oh, Jerry Brown there. I think Jerry Brown's more conservative than Pat Quinn.
I think he is. Knows more what he's doing.
You know,
as bad as it is.
I think being 80 years old and learning all he did through the years, I think Jerry Brown's running California maybe a little bit better than Pat Quinn. But in this case, now is the time to get engaged. We saw
most people don't stay that financially stupid to age 80. That's Jerry Brown's name.
Well, as long as he's in office, he'll never collect the pension too. So, but in this case, we had talked to a lot of people. Money is a big problem. People don't have it. They're getting more. They're talking up more when there's tax increases, when there's borrowing. I'm really glad of the state treasurer, Dan Rutherford, an old college alum, by the way, had said, you know, that's it. No more borrowing. I mean, we're getting into junk bond status here.
Luckily, he's saying that because he sure trashed the cultural issues of the Republican Party. But I guess it doesn't matter quite so much at the treasurer's job.
When you're the treasurer,
I'm glad he's doing better there.
You're the investment officer. You know, he campaigned on things, and he's fulfilling his promises. He said he would close certain offices. He's closed them. He said he would run it more efficiently. He's taken away everything from cell phones and cars and all the little perks of a job because he just doesn't want any waste. So I have to give him credit there. I have to give him credit there. It's about the dollar right now, and when you don't have it, and when people can't afford to give it up more in taxes, I'm glad that there's people like that in office trying to do something.
Kevin, do
I
you
gotta
know
put
I
a put a plug in for the cultural issues. The Republican Party has got a lot of people in it, and some of them are very interested in values. And one of the big values are the cultural things, whether it's the right to ownership of guns or family issues about you don't want your father to be two homosexuals, and you want some right to life. The majority of the people in the Republican Party care about those cultural issues, and anybody who's going to go very far with this thing isn't going to just get by being a libertarian candidate. Get by in that issue, but boy, nobody should get the wrong lesson out of the fact that the cultural issues are very important in the Republican Party. And the Tea Party people certainly know that. And a lot of the winning coalition that's going to be put together in this rotten system that's been thrown at us, a lot of the power in there is going to be the addition of the Tea Party people to the political scene. That's a big addition that the Republicans never saw before. And you aren't going to get by with that coalition with just cold logic about the budget.
Kevin, are you
You better
a Tea
tend to
Party?
the budget for sure. You'll go to death without it. But you got to energize people for more of the things they believe in that are part of America.
Okay. You know,
That's not directed at you
Right.
at all, it's because your theme on this thing is a very good one. I just took exception to one part.
What part would that be? I'm sorry.
Well, that's Rutherford is very bad on the cultural issues.
Well, and I'm not. I understand, you know, a lot of conservatives have with this issue, but a lot of conservatives did vote for him to put him in as state treasurer because he did campaign on what he was going to do. So on that level, you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And certainly, you know, you've talked about my mother. My mother pushed for him too. You know, he was going to be a great state treasurer. He knew how to manage it.
I got to say, I voted for him.
Okay. Well,
Your
and there
mother
you go.
is Ruth O'Connell.
I'm
and
talking
she
about
is-
winning tactics, though, and that is not a tactic that can be applied broadly that he used.
Okay. Well, again, I was just hitting on the financial issues.
Let's talk about what the Northwest Political Coalition is. Is it a Tea Party?
You know, we define ourselves as an independent PAC. You know, if you generally find a conservative Democrat, you might want to back that person or another independent. We went into the city of Chicago, into the, I'm trying to remember, 44th Ward to help John Garrido run.
Yeah.
Lost by 37 votes.
Every vote counts, everybody.
37 votes. And you are talking about, you know, there was so many coalitions on both sides. And I thought John had a real handle on the issue. During the primary, because you get in Chicago how it works for these alderman races, you could run 20 candidates, but it's only going to come down to 2 vote getters or somebody that got 50+% of the vote to be declared the winner. Well, he ran, he won, he was the #1 vote getter in the primary. A lot of the people through the primary turned around and endorsed him that had lost to him, and you know, it was going to be a tight race, you know. So imagine getting off of one campaign and starting it up, you know, the next day for well over a month and a half, and we had a great time going out. I was very surprised that I thought it'd be close, but I thought he'd win. And when that 37 votes came in, you know, we had conversations with him. If he was going to fight that was going to be a huge legal bill to do a recount. And we just didn't have
We
the
did
money.
an awful lot in trying to get a legal vote out of Chicago. I personally put up, promised $100,000 to Craig Burkhart and the Republican Party in order to get a decent vote in that election. And we put about 350 attorneys into the field to be in 200 nursing homes and about 150 precincts with educated attorneys put in place by off-duty policemen in a van and picked up so there'd be no violence. So we had a considerable effect on diminishing the stolen vote in Chicago. And that same band of attorneys went to work on the day after election and prevented, with their good work, what would have been the theft of the election for Joe Walsh in the 8th District. I'm not indicting any one person, but that's an old process of doing a recount that they didn't dare do, even though Walsh only won by 261 votes. and there were a lot of other people that got in the precincts, and John Garrido that you talked about. There were elements we supported in the city, especially Spanish, that would help to do it. I think Chicago is in play. They've been screwed up by the Democrats with their "we don't want nobody sent" for so long. A lot of people are sick of that kind of governance.